site. We're going to start officially at 7, but, you know, I feel like everybody can hear me. They can see me. I'm doing this from my camera for the first time and not from my webcam. So I was a little bit nervous about that. But we're going to be here all week from 7 to 8 p.m. And we have a different theme for every night. It's Black History Month. So I wanted to do a week of live streams to celebrate that. I want to talk a little bit about the gap in home ownership in the Black community, and just answer any questions, because the more educated we can all become about home ownership, the closer we'll get to closing that gap. So I want to talk to you about that. Today is all about credit, because I promised a credit live stream. And so I started it this week off with credit. So I'm going to be playing around with this a little bit. This is my first time kind of showing you graphics, and hopefully that works. For those of you that are here early for me, if you have extra early questions, I'll be happy to answer those, but I may introduce myself at 7 o'clock for people that come exactly at 7. So if you have, thank you, Ms. Crafts, a lot. I appreciate that. If y'all have any credit questions that you got to get off your chest, then you go ahead and ask. If not, I'll wait until 7 o'clock. And then I will, kind of introduce what we're going to be doing today and this week. Also, hi, everybody. And I also wanted to say, in the comments of this video, or in the description of this video, because this will be on the site, I have a free first-time buyer Facebook group. If you're not a member of that, I recommend that you join as you're going through the home ownership journey, the process of buying your first house. If you ask a question, generally speaking, Monday through Friday, I check the Facebook group. If y'all have any questions, I'm kind of like your virtual real estate agent. If you have any question as you're going through the process, I answer those every morning. If you have questions on a video that I posted, I pretty much answer those every morning as well. But I do want you to join the Facebook group if you're not already a member. And I also have a free guide, I have a free checklist of how you need to start with home ownership. So those two things I recommend that you download. I know, Elle, you're not on Facebook, but for those of you that are, those are the two things that, if you need some extra guidance through this process. This is going to be a difficult, if you're not already a homeowner, 2022 could be, if it's already difficult, 2022 I think is going to be challenging as well, because as we have rising interest rates, there's no guarantee that these prices are going to go down. And for them to match the interest rate, they're going to have to go down significantly to make up for that interest rate difference. So it could be very interesting. All right, so I have a few questions already, and let's see who's in here. Okay, so hi, everyone. So happy that you guys are joining me. And I know I'm early. So when 7 o'clock hits, I will introduce myself again. The name of the group is First Time Home Buyers Facebook group, but it's in every one of my videos. If you scroll down to the bottom of the description, there's a link, and there's a link in this video as well. But if you put in Shahida Hill, first time buyer in Facebook, you should find it. Shay Dollar, how do you know when credit card will report to the credit bureaus? Okay, generally they report every 30 days. So most credit cards, they're going to report. You can call them and ask. But yeah, all credit cards generally report on-time payments every 30 days. And they report you late 30 days after it was due, typically. So if you have a bill that is due January 1st and you didn't pay it until the 2nd, generally that's not late. It's when you're 30 days past the due date that they will charge you, or they'll report it, not charge you, but they'll report you as 30 days late. Okay. Oh, somebody give me a super chat. That was so nice. Elle, thank you so much. You didn't have to do that, but I always appreciate your support. Definitely all the time. Thank you so much. All right. So to help you answer that question, how do I remove student loan late payments from your credit report? So first, if if you have an error on your credit report, so if you have any errors, then you're going to want to dispute that error. But if they're correctly reporting that you paid your student loan payments late, you need to contact your student loan servicer and you need to say, how can I get these off of my credit? And basically, if they're legitimate, then you're going to have to work with them. Generally, student loans will work with you and they'll give you a goodwill deletion. But a lot of times they want you to have a certain amount of on-time payments first. So if you've been late for like the last 6 months, and then you're saying, well, how can I get these removed? They may not allow you to do that. So they may say, well, after you've on time for 12 months, we'll look at giving you a goodwill, what they call a goodwill deletion of some of your past late payments. So you want to ask that, Adriana, you want to contact your student loan servicer and see what they say, like what their process is for goodwill deletions. But a lot of times, in order to get a goodwill deletion, and that's basically just the creditor taking it off of your credit just because you're on time now. If you're doing much better, maybe you hit a rough patch and you don't want those negative or late payments to be impacting you, they will give you what they call a goodwill deletion. You could Google it, goodwill deletion. They'll give you one of those, but usually you have to be paying on time first. Like they don't just automatically give it to you, okay? Also wanted to say in this video as well, I have like 4 videos on credit. So if you can't get everything you need in this 1 hour, please watch those videos. I have links to how to fix. I don't believe really in credit repair, like paying people for credit repair, because a lot of the things that you're paying for, you can get done yourself. But a lot of people don't have time or they don't know what they're doing. So I kind of try to walk you through that process so you'll understand it and you'll be able to fix your own credit. Because a lot of times these credit repair companies, they'll put you on payment plans. So there's no incentive for them to rush and fix your credit if they're trying to get these monthly payments from you. And then a lot of times they promise to do things for you and they can't deliver on that promise. And you paid your money up front a lot of the time with credit repair. So I really want to encourage you to do as much that you can do on your own, because you'll be surprised. Everything that the credit repair company can do for you, you can do for yourself. They'll just say that they have some fancy software to help you with it. But all of the things that they're doing for you, you can do for yourself. All right, what credit score do you need for the best rate? I would say above a 740. Like if 740, 760, 780, probably all getting the same rates. It's going to vary a little bit by lender. That's why you always get 3 quotes. But I would say a 740 is going to give you, the best rates. Anything above a 740 is probably going to give you. Some places maybe a 760, but 740, 760, you're going to get the best rates. Hi, Chef Brooklyn. Good to see you as well. All righty. How does one raise the mortgage credit report scores when they're lower than the typical consumer report? Okay, so let's just say this, and I'm going to do introduction at 7 o'clock. It's already 7 o'clock, I think. All right, so mortgage companies, generally speaking, are looking at your FICO score. And that might be a little bit different from what you're getting from the free credit reporting agencies, the ones that give you a free credit score. It might be a little bit different. And so you can pay for that FICO score so you know exactly what that score is going to be, because the majority, when I say the majority, 80% or so of mortgage companies are looking at that FICO score. So you can pay for that score to be exact, or if you just know, right, that you're getting your free score, it's going to be some variance there, but as long as you're moving up, even with that free score, it's probably moving up as well on your FICO score if you're not ready to pay for the FICO score yet. And tonight we are sponsoring this live stream this week. It's Credit Sesame, and they have a good free credit option. So you can look at that, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But definitely be monitoring your credit. And then another way, and this is for Yolanda, if you are trying to figure out what that mortgage credit score is going to be, you can do a mortgage application maybe 6 months out from when you want to buy a house to see where you stand. You'll get to see, okay, exactly what they're pulling up as your credit score, because as part of your application, they'll have to give you what credit scores they're using. So they'll give you all 3 of your credit scores, typically when you're doing a mortgage application. All right, my score is at a standstill around 630 and 660, trying to get it to a 700. Hopefully I can help you with that tonight. Miss Hill, I watched some of your videos by going through my home buying owning process. Thank you, Cedric. Good to see you again. Hi. All right, so I think it's definitely 7 o'clock now. I wanted to introduce myself for those of you that don't know me. I'm Shahida Hill. I'm in Atlanta. A lot of people don't know where I am. So I'm in Atlanta. I have been a real estate agent since 2003, but I've also, in that time when the real estate market wasn't doing very well, I was a business education teacher in high school. So I have my master's in business education. So I'm kind of merging those 2 things together to bring you real estate content. And primarily I focus on first-time home buyers and getting you through the process of owning your first home. But this week, to celebrate Black History Month, we're really focusing on credit, any questions that you have. So today is credit. Tuesday and Thursday is all going to be Ask Me Anything about real estate, and I'll try to answer those questions. On Wednesday, I am going to have a guest, Sir Ashley. Please check out his channel. He's in North Carolina, and he's another real estate agent. We're going to talk about fair housing and how fair housing can impact you as you go through the home buying process as well. And we'll answer any of your questions on Wednesday. And then on Friday, we're going to be talking with an attorney. He's a closing attorney and an estate attorney. Like once you get this asset, how can you keep it? And not just your asset, but your grandmother's house, your aunt's house. A lot of times when we talk about generational wealth, but when you get your grandmother's house, because she may pass away, people are going to pass away. We're all going to pass away. What do you do with it? How do you keep it? Because a lot of times it just gets dispersed. People sell the house, everybody takes their little piece, and then that money is gone. So we're going to talk about how you keep that money in your family, how you really can build and protect generational wealth. So hopefully you'll be with us. Somebody said I'm frozen. Hopefully I'm not frozen anymore. So hopefully you'll stay with us all week. So, and everything will be on the YouTube channel forever, I guess. But, if you could join us live, you can get your your questions answered live all week. So I want to share with you really quickly this chart, and I think it's going to be over my face, I guess. But this is the chart as of the end of 2021. So fourth quarter 2021. The average home ownership rate in the Black community is 43.1%, where the average is 65 among all ethnicities is 65.5. So we do want to, as much as possible, close that gap in the Black community, because along with home ownership is wealth. The majority of Americans have their wealth in their home through equity, the amount that their home is worth. So there's a huge opportunities that are lost by not having property, by not owning anything. So we want to try to close that gap as much as possible. If you're a first-time home buyer, you need to be telling your cousin, your uncle, your other family members, how did you do it? Let's not make it a secret. Or how did you buy the house? How did you save? How did you get a mortgage? Let's start talking about it, in our families, so everybody can benefit from what you know about home ownership. All right, so let's see. So Shay Dollar, should we challenge or try to settle a 15K repo that happened in 2019? Now that's pretty recent, that last 3 years. So if you're trying to buy a house, this is always my answer. Can you buy a house without it? Can you buy a house with the repo on it? And a lot of times you might be able to. And so I advise people, before you go ahead and pay it or before you go ahead and settle it, because a lot of times it's already hurting your credit, I would get a pre-approval to see, and the lender's going to tell you, you need to settle this, repo. You need to get this off your credit or you cannot qualify for a home. If that's the case, then you need to deal with it. You might find out, they might say, well, as long as you do this, this, and this, you can leave the repo on there. So is it going to be something that's going to stop you from, another goal that you have? So I wouldn't automate. That's with all collections. I would say if it's necessary for you to reach the next level, for you to buy a house, for you to, do something financially, then you do need to address it. But because typically they've already hurt your credit, unless when you are settling it with them, let's talk about settlement. When they put something in collections, so say you had a $10,000 collection, so the original company charged it off, then they put $10,000. They bought that collection for pennies on the dollar. So they might have bought that collection for $1,000. If you owe $10,000, the collection company bought it from them for maybe $1,000, right? And they're going to try to get anything over $1,000 from you, and that's their profit. So when you are negotiating with them, the only way to me that you would pay them, because again, they've already hurt your credit, is if they're willing to delete that from your credit report. So in your negotiations, you want to get in writing from them before you pay them, and never give them access to your electronic access to your account. So say they say, well, $2,000, we'll delete it from your credit report and we'll take it off. Then that's something, if necessary, then that's something you might want to do to get that off of your credit report. But you have to get that in writing before you pay, because once you have it in writing, if they don't do it, you always can dispute it and show that the company agreed to take it off your credit in writing. So if you have it in writing and then you just write them a check or send them a money order, do not give them electronic access to your account, because they're going to say they'll take $2,000, but they may take more out of your account. So I would say if it's necessary, so be willing to do a mortgage application. And even if that mortgage application is denied, the lender can tell you you can't get approved with this repo, or you have to wait till the repo is at least 5 years old. They may give you some kind of, answer that doesn't require you to pay off that entire amount. All right, so I'm still going through these questions. Student loans have fallen off my credit. I want to pop this up too, so we know like what exactly is impacting our credit. These things, our credit history, our payment history is the highest. So pay your bills on time. If you need to set up auto pay, sit down, have it in your calendar, make sure you're paying your bills on time. Okay. 30% is the amount that you owe. And then 15% is the length of your credit history. So how long have you had credit? So if somebody's older than you, they're probably going to have, and they've done the same thing you've done with your credit, they're going to have usually a higher credit score than you, because they have a longer length of credit, right? And then 10% is new credit. So when you're trying to get a mortgage, you don't want to be opening up a lot of credit accounts. And then your credit mix. They want to see that you can do an installment loan, like a car loan, and credit cards usually. So that's a revolving loan. They want to see those different types of debt typically. All right, let me go back to my comments. Student loans have fallen off my credit, but popped up. If I consolidate them, typically how low will it drop my credit? Will it have a big effect? It'll be for $26K. It depends on when they put it back on your credit, I guess, if they're going to put it as a on-time payment, or they're going to put it that you're still owing that amount. So it's probably going to vary, because it said it's falling off. That means it's not there anymore. When they put it back on, you may want to find out if they're going to put it on if you start making payments, or are they going to put that on as being current with your student loan payment. I've been paying on time for a while, and I didn't know about a Goodwill deletion. Yes, ask about a Goodwill deletion, especially if you're back to paying on time. All right, let me see. Will debt consolidation affect your credit score? Typically, no, but it may not improve it, because the amount of debt is typically the same, right? So if you consolidate your debt, even though you're paying off some, it's still going to be that same amount. So that amount owed will still be considerable, I guess. But it may have some benefit because you pay things off. It's kind of just like transferring the debt around versus paying off debt. All right, late credit card payments, the same thing. Go back to your credit card company and see if you can get a Goodwill deletion of those. If you think it's inaccurate, then you try to dispute. If you have anything inaccurate on your credit report, like you paid on time and they said you didn't pay on time, you can dispute that amount with the credit bureaus. You have to dispute it with Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax, wherever it's reported, right? You want to dispute it. Or again, you go to the credit card company and say, can I have a Goodwill deletion? I missed credit card payments 8 months ago, 9 months ago. Now I'm on time with these payments. How can I get these off of my credit? All right, let me see. Okay, how should I get this? Bankruptcy a best option when you have a lot of late payments and derogatory marks on your credit score? I would say not if you feel like you could fix it yourself. Bankruptcy is a major option. If you're trying to buy a house, that may delay you at least 3 years before you can get an FHA loan if you file for bankruptcy. So I would say if bankruptcy is a choice, but you need to look and see if that's your only choice. But I don't know your income and all that kind of stuff. So you want to at least consult with somebody first and see what can you do on your own before you go to bankruptcy, because that will delay you from getting a house. You can't, the only loan you'll be able to get very quickly or the fastest after you file for bankruptcy is FHA. And generally that takes at least 2 to 3 years. I have a video on bankruptcy and foreclosure, like how quickly you can buy after bankruptcy and how quickly you can buy after foreclosure. I would watch that first. All right, what kind of errors do I need to correct before starting the process with a lender or realtor? Should I worry about a mix up current previous address in my listing? I don't think addresses matter much. Those addresses are going to change. You're going to have multiple names, like, Shahida spelled different ways on different things. That's never been an issue, really. It's really going to be, like I said, those payment history, the amounts that you owe, the length of your credit history, all of those things are most important. So I would monitor your credit so you know what all those credit scores are going to be prior. And I want you to get a copy of each of your credit reports. You can get that for free. You get that for free at annualcreditreport.com. So annualcreditreport.com gives all of your credit reports for free, because a lot of people, they might know their score. They'll say my score is a 670, and I always ask them, well, I said, what do you have bad that's on your credit? I don't know. If you have a 670, then everything's not good, in my opinion. You have something that's reporting either late, even it's like 130-day late or 60-day late. There's something negative on your credit report. You need a copy of all of your credit reports so you can see what is making up that score to try to improve it. If you don't know what's on it, you can't improve it. You may know one thing that's on it, but there's more on that credit report. You need to make sure you get all 3 of your credit reports from Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. All right. Okay. Thanks, Elle, for answering these questions. All right. Thank you, Chef. If y'all can hit the like button on this video, if y'all have that option, the like button, and subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. That's good. Thank you. Yolanda said there's a 42-point difference between Experian report and the Fico reports. Yes, it could vary greatly. And the reason why, there's a lot of different models. So you have the Vantage model and the FICO model. And even with the FICO, there's multiple FICOs. There's multiple Vantage, like Vantage 9 or Vantage this, and FICO 5 and FICO 6. You will never know what the lender, when you do choose a lender, what they're going to be using. So I never want people to be so caught up in, okay, what this lender's using this and this lender's using that. It'll be too much to chase for you. But you want to make sure on your credit report, you don't have any late payments reporting. You want to make sure that you get your credit utilization down, right? All of those things for all of the models work in improving your score. So if you're doing that across all of, just in some models, they impact it more than other models. But if you're moving toward where you have no late payments, if you're moving toward that you're paying down your debt, ideally 10% of the overall balance, if you're making sure that you're not opening up a whole bunch of cards, if you pay something off, leave it open, especially if you're trying to buy a house, because if you have a credit card that you've had for 10 years and you close it, your credit history, that's 15% of your score, that's going to go down to, whatever your, most recent cards are. So now you're losing that 10-year card and you're going maybe to a 2-year or 3-year. So now your credit history is only about 3 years since you closed that card. A lot of people make that mistake. They pay something off and they close it. Leave it open. Okay. All right. So will a repossession from 2019, Shay, I think I answered this question, Shay. This is what I would tell you to do. go ahead and do a mortgage application and see what they say, because it either is going to impact you and they're going to say no, or they're going to say, let it, wait another year and this will fall off, or it won't be as important. Because a lot of things after 3 years or so don't impact you as much. I closed 2 accounts, dropped my credit. How do I get it back up? There's really nothing much you can do unless somebody adds you to their credit that's had credit longer than you. And this is for Clowney 01. Unless somebody adds you to their credit, that will help you, get that link back. But as long as you keep on paying on time and doing everything else right, you should be good. Okay. Love Sir Ashley and you. Yes, thank you. And this is our first live stream together, so maybe it'll work out really well for the channel, both of our channels. All right. JB says, my family's working on drawing up a new deed for our family house. It took forever, but I'm so happy it's being done. That's very good. I'm telling you, people fight about, depending on where everybody is financially, when somebody passes away, some people may need the money more than others. So a lot of times the properties that should stay in our families don't stay in our families. They're sold and then everybody takes their little piece and then they never own it again, right? All right, so let me see. Any other questions? Thank you for the hair comment. Growing up with the Carters. All right, how do I increase my credit score? I sold my home. I've increased my limit on my only 2 cards. I pay on time. I sold my home. I've increased my limit on 2 cards. I only have student loans, on-time payments. My credit score is a low 640. Okay, my answer, growing up with the Carters, why is your credit a low 640? You need to get all of your credit reports. So, because what I'm hearing here is, I do everything right. I paid off all my stuff. I don't have any late payments, and I have a 640. That can't be true. There has to be something negatively reporting on your credit, even if it's a little bit older. There's something on your credit that is negative on there that's giving you that 640, because a 640 is not a good credit score. But you're saying, I've never been late. I don't owe. Let me put this up really quickly. Okay. In order to get the highest jump in your credit, let's say I have in all of my credit cards, I have a $10,000 balance, all of my credit or $10,000 limit. Okay. In order to get the biggest jump in your credit, you have to pay that credit card balance down to $5,000. That'll give you your first jump. Then $3,000 or less. That's 30%. And then 10% or less, $1,000 or less. That's going to give you the biggest jump in your credit report, in your credit, okay? Paying it down, and that's all. So if you add it up, if you have to have one credit card, then it's easy. But if you have multiple credit cards, you want to say, okay, how much total is my limit, right? And then let me get all of my debt lower than 50%, lower than 30%, lower than 10%, okay? That's going to give you your biggest credit score jumps. So back to the Carters, I would say get your Experian, your TransUnion, and your Equifax credit report and see. I want you to highlight anything negative that's on those credit reports. And once you highlight those, because it has to be something negative, you want to see, can I do any Goodwill deletions of any negative items? Is there anything inaccurate? So I'm going to dispute anything that's inaccurate. And then you want to go from there and then try to get your credit utilization down. And it says growing up with the Carters. So I'm assuming you're married. I'm a big proponent, I guess, of helping your spouse with their credit. Okay. So I've been married for 17 years. We have the same credit scores, and we probably had them for the last at least 15 years. Right. So that you shouldn't have a drastically different credit score than your spouse. If you're doing that, then one spouse is doing one thing and one spouse is doing something else. Watch my video on how we merged our finances, okay? So all the bills in our house get paid at the same time, right? Out of one account. So there's no late payments. There's nobody paying a bill on the side, right? So everything's being paid on time. We're both on, both of our accounts. Our credit history is the same, right? Because we have the same length of credit history. And debt is being paid down as our debt, not you in debt. I'm not in debt. You in debt. I'm not in debt, right? So we have the same credit score, but it didn't start out like that. So I would say get your credit reports and then, see what's on there that's getting you to that 640, because there's something missing there. Thank you for the super chats. I'm trying to get to your questions. Scott, if a creditor refuses to do, okay, if a creditor refuses to, let me make sure this is gone. Hold on a second. All right, if a creditor refuses to do a pay for deletion, should I pay the collection in full? Only if it's stopping you from doing something you want to do. So again, if it's already impacting your credit and they're not taking it off, if you pay for it, is it going to help? Probably not. That's why a lot of, people online or on YouTube say don't pay your collection, because you might be in the same exact place you were before. You're just going to have less money. So Scott, if you're trying to buy a house and when you did your application, they were like, you have to pay this off in order to get approved for this mortgage, then go ahead and pay it off. But if it's already impacting your credit negatively and they're not willing to delete it, what is going to be the benefit of paying it off if you're going to be in the same place with the same credit score? Unless when a lender sees it, they're saying, well, in order to get this mortgage, you got to pay it off. That's my advice. So you have to go ahead and do an application, a mortgage application, to see how much is impacting you. But if they're not willing to take it off your credit, if it's already impacting you negatively, only if it's stopping you from getting where you want to be, like you can't get mortgage approval without paying it off, then you may want to do that. All right, Kathy, I haven't owned a home in 20 years. Would I qualify as a first-time home buyer? Yes. As long most programs that require you to be a first-time home buyer, the rule is you haven't owned a home in the last 3 years. So you should be considered a first-time home buyer definitely for 20 years if you haven't owned a home in 20 years. Thank you, Kathy. All right, let me see. The Queen Shanty, Miss Hill, if a creditor offers you a lower amount to pay off your credit card balance, is it best to go ahead and pay it, then try to get it removed later? I don't understand that question. Are they saying that you owe more, and then they're saying if you pay it off, will you pay off less? Pay it off and then get it removed later? Maybe. I don't understand your question. If you could rephrase it to me, then I might be able to answer it. All right, so let me come. Okay, higher vibrations. Do you recommend doing multiple pre-approvals or just one? I always recommend 3. Maybe you're new here, but yeah, I recommend 3. When you're ready to buy a house, I recommend getting 3 mortgage approvals. And since this is Black History Month, there's been a history sometime, right? There's a big lawsuit with Countrywide that they were giving higher interest rates to Black and brown more applicants. That has been a problem in the past. I would definitely recommend it for that. I also recommend it for everybody's not going to approve you for the same amount. Everybody is not going to have the same interest rate. So in order to get the best terms or the same fees. So in order to get the best terms, the best fees, you want to get at least 3 quotes. And then if everybody's saying pretty much the same thing, then it's probably accurate and you'll have something to compare it to. So I definitely want you to get 3. The people that I recommend you going to, number 1 is whoever your real estate agent recommends. And this is why your real estate agent has already closed with that lender. They know that they can close. They know they can close on time. I'm always nervous when a client comes to me and they say, okay, I'm using this person and I've never closed with them before, because I don't know how quickly they're going to close. I don't know how, their communication is. You're willing to use whoever you want, but as a first-time home buyer, this is your first time doing any kind of business with them. As a real estate agent, I've done a lot of business with who I recommend. So I recommend that you go with at least one person that your lender recommends, maybe your current bank or credit union, online bank like Quicken or Rocket or something like that. And then was my last one, a mortgage broker. So those will be pick 3 of those 4 options. So you can, see which one is going to be best for you. All right. We do have a sponsor tonight, so I have to talk about the sponsor. But if you, I will go back to the questions, and I see I have another super chat that I appreciate. Okay, so our sponsor tonight is Credit Sesame. I definitely recommend that you're monitoring your credit. So you need to be able to monitor it so you can help improve it. It allows you to monitor your credit for free. Credit monitoring is a very important part of the home buying process. Credit Sesame offers a free digital debit account. So they have a debit account for those of you who are trying to build your credit. It's called Sesame Cash, which is free, all in one account that can help you automatically grow your score. So even though it's a debit card, they're going to report that debit card to the credit bureau. With Sesame Cash Credit Builder, the more money you already have and the daily debit purchases you make can now build your credit history. You're able to check your score every day to track your growth, and you'll be paid cash rewards as your score goes up. Credit Sesame already helps people monitor and improve their credit with no credit check required. Now, even millions of Americans that have very little credit history can build it using Sesame Cash's Credit Builder account. Credit Sesame can help you build your credit automatically without a traditional credit card. Sesame Cash gives you all the credit building benefits of a credit card with your debit. There's no credit check and absolutely no fees and no interest. You just buy the stuff you would normally buy with your debit card, and they automatically report your purchases to the bureaus to help you build your credit history and scores each month. All right, since it works with your Sesame Cash account, you only spend the money that you already have, so you're not going into debt using this card. Credit Sesame also pays you as your score goes up. $10 for every 10-point increase in the first 30 days. Sesame Cash Credit Builder grows your scores and pays you as it goes up. Review the website for full terms, and in the description of this video, I have all the links so you can open a Credit Sesame account and you can monitor your credit. So Credit Sesame is our sponsor all week. Okay, so if you have any questions about that, put it in the comments of the video and I'll try to answer that. So back on to the questions. Does having the consumer financial reporting dispute the credit, it may not always work, but a lot of times they're kind of experts in the dispute process. So it could help you doing it correctly, like knowing how to do it and how to do it correctly. Let me get 2 more of these super chats out of the way. Thank you, Alonda. I don't think you have a question, but I appreciate it. If you were going to ask a question, let me know. But thank you so much for the super chat. And then Elijah, can you break down what a construction or perm loan is? Sorry, we're doing all about credit. Is it the same as a conventional loan? However, Elijah, I have a full video on how to build a house on your own land, and that's a construction to perm loan. So, and I break it down with a lender and an expert in how to build on your own land. But basically, you're going to find the land, right? And then you're going to finance the land first, and then you're going to finance the construction of that land. So when you find your builder and the lender has to approve that builder, they'll start paying that builder throughout. And then when you close, they'll put the land and the builder loan together, and that'll be your mortgage. But I have a full video about that, how to build a house on your own land. So Elijah, thank you for the super chat, but I would recommend that you watch that video. All right, please try to keep it to credit questions tonight. Thursday, if you join me Tuesday and Thursday, it's all going to be about Ask Me Anything. So Tuesday, Thursday, Ask Me Anything. On Wednesday, I'm going to be with Sir Ashley, and we're going to try to keep it to as much as possible fair housing. And then estate planning is going to be on Friday. All right, let me get back to this. Miss Christie, my credit score dropped from 671 to 616 due to a collection charge on my credit. Would my score be able to rebound in less than a year? Definitely. I would say let's talk about, is it accurate that they're reporting that? Can you pay for delete to get it off of that? Try to see. But I would say definitely you should be able to get your score back up, definitely within a year. Like I've had people in my Facebook group go from like 4 something to 7 something in a year. Okay. All right. Is it okay to seek help from credit repair companies? Selena, after you do everything you can yourself, I don't want you to pay. A lot of times the money that you're paying the credit repair companies, you probably can use some of that to pay for delete and do that sort of thing. And if you definitely check their reviews, check all of that stuff. I'm not saying all of them are scams, but a lot of them are scams. And sometimes it's hard for you to tell the difference. So I really don't recommend any of them because it's hard for me to know who's scamming and who's not scamming for the most part. What is considered a good credit score? I would say anything above a 670 or so or higher, and 640 or higher is generally very good. 660 or higher is excellent. 755 would be in the excellent range, I believe. Yeah, 750 is really, really good. Because at some point, when you're doing a mortgage, it's not 755 gets this score. It's like if you have a 740 to 800, y'all might all get the same score. So they have credit score ranges, generally speaking, when you're doing a mortgage. Okay. L, I agree, 740 or above. How do you improve with late payments? Again, start paying on time, but then, and this is MF, go back to the creditor and see if you could get those deleted. If you're paying on time, one thing, and please talk to you. Remember, I taught high school for 14 years. Please talk to your kids about credit. Even if your credit is not good, tell them why it's not good. I know it could put you in like an embarrassing situation as a parent, but unless we have direct conversations with our children about credit, they're not going to know what to do. When they leave your house, they're going to be in the same position you were in because you never told them. My mother used to say she never had a direct conversation with me about credit, but I remember her saying, maybe she was on the phone or maybe she just said stuff in the house. She had slow credit. What is slow credit? And that's all, like, that was my knowledge. Leaving high school, going to college, I was like, my mom has slow credit. What does that mean? Never knew what it means. Now I feel like it means that she paid her stuff, right? But she might have paid it late. So she paid it, but she might have paid like 30 days late, right? But we have to have more direct conversations with our children, right? And I think high school, middle school, whenever they have a transcript, because I do that comparison, like your credit score is like your high school transcript, right? You need to have a direct conversation with them about what your credit is, how you got that credit score, what you wish you would have done better. They learn most from your experience. If you tell them a story about it, they will remember that more than make sure you pay your bills on time, make sure you do this. Tell them a story about how it's impacted you, and they will remember that more than anything else. All right. Coco Lovely, can you get a mortgage if you have an outstanding judgment that is 6 years old, credit score in the 690s, even with the judgment showing? Probably. You'll be surprised. A lot of the things that are old, mortgage companies are not really even looking at. Are there any programs you can use if you're on Social Security disability? Ava, yes. If you're basically, people on Social Security and Social Security disability just have low income. So you want to just look for programs that work with low income. If that's down payment assistance like NACA or USDA Direct, they're like specifically for people with lower incomes a lot of times. All right, let's see. Is there a way to get every FICO score if you pay for it? Yes. You can buy your FICO score from all of the bureaus. All right. T. Kelly, and I'm gonna try to catch up because I know I'm kind of behind the 7:30. Okay. An old timeshare. Don't y'all hate timeshares? I'm so happy. I went to one of those timeshare presentations and I left. If you ever go to a timeshare presentation, don't go to them, number one. They're very high pressure situations, but don't buy a timeshare. Don't buy a timeshare. Okay. That was my public service announcement. All right. So an old timeshare foreclosure popped up on my Experian, says 10 years in April, but Equifax says 7 years. It's via Westgate for $15,000. Should I wait for May to dispute it or let it ride? How much is it impacting your credit score would be my question, T. Kelly. Generally, when things are that old, they shouldn't be reporting. So maybe that could be a dispute that you dispute because you should have a 7-year that you should be able to dispute things. So I would see how much is impacting you and see if you can dispute just the years. Because after 7 years, things should come off your credit report and not impact you anymore. All righty. This is my audio person. He's always commenting on my audio. So I try, hopefully my audio is halfway decent today. All right. So I have 2 cards in collections. Thank you for the super chat as well. I have 2 cards in collections that will turn 7 years old this summer. Will they drop off this year? And how soon will my credit jump up? They should. Okay. After 7 years, things should come off of your credit report by law. Okay. So I would wait till those 7 years come. And if they don't, I would dispute them due to the 7 years. And it should drop. This is my thing. Because they're already old, they're probably not impacting your credit as much as you think they are. A lot of times, things that are 3 years old, like it's like 1 to 3 years, that's really impacting you. After like 3 years, because if you think about it, somebody can go have a foreclosure, and after 3 years, that foreclosure, they can be back in the 700s already. So like a credit card in collections is not as big as a foreclosure. So things that are older are not impacting you as much as you probably think they are. So I would see once they fall off, does it, really make a huge difference or not? I probably would say it wouldn't make a huge difference. Again, I always look at people with foreclosures and they could have foreclosed, not paid their whole mortgage, and their credit is going to be back up, within 2 to 3 years. What is the best credit utilization? Starla, under 10%. Under 10%. Let me put that back up. If you can say under 10%, that is excellent. Okay. Under 10%. Go back to the comments. All right. You're allowed, you're allowed 1 free credit report. Yes. You get a 1 free credit report every year. During the pandemic, they were offering even more times, but annualcreditreport.com is where you get them from. All right, Shada, I'm not going to answer any real estate questions, but please join me tomorrow for real estate. I'm trying to focus on credit right now. When you're applying for pre-approval, is it supposed to be a hard inquiry, and how long does it sit there? Okay. Yes, it is a hard inquiry, but as part of the credit scoring model, they allow you to shop your rate. So you are going to get 1 hard inquiry, right? But if you do multiple quotes within, and some places say 30 days, but again, you never know what credit scoring model these people are using. So I just say do it within a 2-week, 14-day period, just to be on the safe side. But it is a hard credit pull. But if you do 3, in a week, it's only 1 hard credit pull. So, and it will sit there for maybe 6 months, 3, whatever it is. It'll sit there for a while, but it doesn't impact you that much. If you have a decent credit score, it might be 2 to 4 points, for a mortgage pre-approval. And I've heard people say different things, but for the most part, from lenders, they say that it generally is a couple of points, 2 to 3 points. I feel like the lower your credit score is, the higher, the more impact hard inquiries have on your credit. The higher your credit score is, I've had, and I did a video with some of my old clients. He did 6 mortgage applications, and I think his credit score dropped 20 points or something, but he was in the 700s. And he said it was worth doing those 6. And he did them over a 4-month period. So he didn't have the benefit of just, that short time. But, he thought it was worth it because he said the 6th application was the best score, best terms, best everything. All right. If I don't have a varied credit mix, is that bad? I'm kind of done with any more lines of credit. I don't think that's bad. If you have a pretty long credit history and you've had different things, you paid things off, I think you're fine. On my credit, I have I have credit cards, I have a mortgage. Those are 2 different ones, but I'm not I need some other credit lines to get my credit score up. I'm in the 800s and I'm fine. I'm not trying to get more things, right? So I think if you have a decent credit score, if it's in the 700s, above that 740, I wouldn't be trying to get debt to get a higher credit score. How much would your credit score drop after paying off a car note? It's going to vary, but you're going to lose that credit mix. However, to me, it's more advantageous to pay off your car note, because car notes are death to your mortgage application, especially big car notes, as far as what you can get approved for, right? Because if you have a car note for $400, $500, just reduce your mortgage payment that amount, because that's going to impact your debt to income ratio. So I think it probably will be reduced, but it shouldn't be so significant that it should stop you from paying it off. All right. Thank you, Tariq. I haven't owned it. Okay, I already got that question. Let me try to get through some of these. If I add my sister to my credit line, will it affect my score? No, it won't affect. It should affect hers if you have good credit and you've been paying on time. It should positively impact her. It shouldn't impact you at all, but don't give her the card. Now, if you give her if you put her on your card and then you give her the card and then she goes charging stuff that you didn't intend for her to do, then that's when it becomes a problem. But if you just put her on there and she has no access to your credit, it can only help her and not hurt her. However, if you get added to somebody's account that doesn't pay on time, that could negatively impact you. So be very careful when you're being added to people's accounts trying to increase your credit. What they do positively will impact you positively. What they do negatively will also impact you negatively. Okay. Mel Giselle, do you have a trusted credit repair company? I don't recommend any credit repair companies. However, this is what I usually recommend people do. If you're trying to get a mortgage, like, to me, I try to tell you, use your lender as your credit repair person because they have mortgage simulators. Remember, they're trying to get you approved. So a lot of times when they can't approve you, they have a mortgage simulator that says, oh, if you do this, it'll increase you 10 points. If you do this, it'll increase you 40 points. They will give you a report to tell you exactly what to do. A good lender will. They have simulators, and some lenders also have credit repair specialists. So I would really only go with somebody your lender recommends to you because they probably used them in the past and they were able to get somebody approved. But first, just get most lenders, I would say 90% of lenders, mortgage lenders, have credit simulators to tell you specifically, like they look at your credit and say, if you do this, if you pay this off to this, your credit should go up 20 points. Use them as your credit repair. I know they hate this. Hi, mortgage lenders. But use them as your free credit repair specialist because they have these simulators already, in their program if somebody doesn't get approved. But I don't recommend any specific credit repair company. So don't all y'all start emailing me with your credit repair companies. All right, let me go back down. All right, let me see. Should I pay my closed accounts off? Only if it's impacting your credit. I'm going to say that over and over again. When you're paying something off that's already been charged off or already in collections and it's already impacting your credit negatively, to me, only do it if it's going to have a positive impact on your credit, or it's going to allow you to get your mortgage approved. And only a lender is going to be able to tell you that. I wouldn't just go, let me start paying all this stuff off, and then you have the same credit score that you had before because it's still on your credit negatively. I talked about your mortgage application. It does, but it's only a few points. Okay. All right. Let me see. I'm trying to make sure. I'm going to go down a lot because what time is it now, you guys? It's 7:45, so we're good. Let me try to see. Does Credit Sesame have a true credit score? They use a Vantage score, but when you're using those, almost all of the free options that you have are going to be a Vantage score. They may not be the Fico score, but you can use those initially, especially if they're free. Use those to see what you need to improve upon. And then if you need to get the Fico, you can pay for the Fico. But most of the free things are the Vantage score. All righty, let me see. I have wrong charges on my account. So We Flourish says I have wrong charges on my account. You need to do you need to dispute that on your credit report. So you get your credit report, do your dispute in writing. They will have an online dispute form, but you want to do it in writing. You want to mail it to them with your evidence of why it's not accurate. Okay, you want to do your evidence, send that in, and they have 30 days to either validate the debt to say that it is valid, or they have 30 days to remove it. So go ahead and dispute whatever you think is inaccurate. 30 to 40% of people have inaccurate things on their credit report, but you have to get the credit report to see what's inaccurate on the credit report. And then you have to dispute it in writing instead of the online. That gives you additional options. When you do it online, once you disputed it that one time, that's done. But if you do it in writing, you can do it multiple times in writing. That's the difference of doing it online versus doing it in writing. All right. My only significant debt or student loans are more than 15 years old and assistance with my down payment is needed. What lenders do you suggest? I'm not recommending any specific lenders, but if you need down payment assistance, I have a whole down payment assistance playlist. Nicole, I paid off my car and it dropped 60 points. How can I build my score fast to purchase in the next 4 months? I would do this. If you have any other debt, try to get that debt down 50%, 30%, or 10% or less. If you have somebody if you have a short credit history, if somebody can add you to their credit accounts to try to lengthen it a little bit more, that's what I would do for the most part. Hi, Fidel. And then all of my credit videos, I'm linking in this description as well. Should we constantly monitor our credit? I mean, I would monthly monitor your credit. I don't think you have to constantly monitor it, but if you're paying everything on time, like, I guess I'm not in the hustle kind of mentality or whatever. If you're paying your bills on time and then you've identified, once you get your reports, you've identified any issues that you have and you're trying to either dispute those, you're doing goodwill deletions on those, then you're fine with that. You know, everything else is on time. You may want to, I guess, you know, you don't want to be, if you know you owe somebody and they're about to report it, go ahead and contact them beforehand. Like, you know, sometimes medical debt and stuff like that might come up and you're wondering if they're going to start reporting that. Try to contact them ahead of time so you're not scared when things come up. And then medical debt, let me say a couple of things. Collections, typically collections under $2,000. Let me say that again. Collections under $2,000, usually lenders don't care about. So collections under $2,000, unless they're like really, you know, damaging your credit, like they're real recent, under $2,000 they're not looking at. And then medical debt, they typically don't care about either. So under $2,000 collection. So if you have like a $500 collection, usually mortgage lenders don't care. And then if you have medical debt, usually they don't care either because that's not debt that you were actively seeking to get, right? All right, let me try to get some more questions done. All right. Shay Dollar, slow credit, that's real. I'm telling you, slow credit, that's what mama had. All right. Javier, I'm trying to delete inquiries from the 3 bureaus and always comes back verified or remain on my file. What should I do differently to get it done? Okay, so if you're trying to dispute something, Javier, that is accurate, then it may come back that is accurate, right? Unless you have other evidence that is different. So when you're disputing them, because what a lot of times people try to do is let me dispute it, and then maybe they don't get it within the 30 days and they'll automatically take it off. Like if that's what you're trying to do, then it may just not be working and we need to try something else. A lot of credit repair people will say try that 3 to 4 times. And if that doesn't work, you may have to go to pay to delete route. You may have to say, okay, let me, you know, see if I can pay to delete, if I can try to give them something for them to agree to take it off my credit. Or you may have to deal with, you know, just leave it on there. Because if it's an accurate debt, if you really did owe the money, then they have a right to leave that on your credit. So a lot of times people are just trying to do it. And what credit repair companies do, they'll send them multiple. They'll pull out, like try to find something that makes the debt invalid, or they'll try to overwhelm them with mail. So they'll like lose and say, oh, you didn't do it within 30 days. Now you have to take it off. That's kind of the strategies a lot of them use to try to get that done. Okay. All right. So if you can change the amount of evidence, so you say you have some different evidence to show that it's in dispute, then you can try that. Let me try to see. Elle, thank you so much for monitoring this chat. All right. I'm going down. Okay. I answered that question. I'm trying to go by the time. Can you lose all of your credit history if you close your credit card? Yes. Yeah, so you don't want to close it as you get close to like getting a mortgage. You want to leave it open because it will, if you've had a credit card for 20 years and you close that account, you're going to lose that credit history. So you don't want to do that. Okay, all right. Should I pay off old credit one at a time? Yeah, I mean, of course you want to make all of your minimum payments, but you want to try to, if it's easier for you to get one done. I mean, people have the the snowball method where you do the largest to the smallest. Some people do the highest interest rate first. Just do which one makes you feel the best. The snowball method, people like it because you feel a sense of accomplishment because you'll pay off, the smallest to the largest. You feel like you're accomplishing something. Then the other one is paying off the higher interest rate first because you feel like, mathematically, that usually makes the most sense. Okay, Vicky has, I have excellent credit now. Go ahead, Vicky. I've learned this hard inflicted lessons regarding the subject that shared. I wholeheartedly agree with everything you said. Thank you, Vicky. I appreciate it. All right, Rashida. Hey, Rashida. All right, and people are like, what's your name? I'm like, it's like Shahid. It's like Rashida with an S because Rashida is more popular than Shahida. All right, what if I lost my job last September? Now I'm with a new company. Oh, okay. Now with a new company in the same field, can I start my pre-approval or do I have to wait 2 years? No. As long as generally it's 6 months or less. So if you're going from one job to another job, as long as there's like less than 6 months, you can still qualify for the most part. And they're in the same field, so you don't have to wait. But that wasn't a credit question, but I'm gonna let that slide because you're Rashida. All right, let me see. Do jewelry accounts help your credit? I wouldn't open a new account to help your credit unless you have no credit and you're just trying to establish credit. You might be able to do that, but I wouldn't open up a new account. Like I would try to do maybe a little bit bigger, like a Visa or MasterCard or Discover or something. But if you have no credit, it could help your credit. Shay Dollar. All right. Let me see if there's any more questions. Okay, good. I think I've answered some of them. Does paying a car loan early affect your credit score? No. On-time payments always help. And then this is for Jarvis, paying off your car loan early will definitely help your DTI, your debt to income ratio, but it typically doesn't help your credit score. All right, let me see. Is it safe to do debt consolidation? Yes, but don't think that's going to drastically improve your score because you just consolidated your debt. All right, let me see. How can I get my FICO score? You can get your FICO score. You can buy it from each of the credit bureaus. You can buy it, or like something like myfico.com will sell it to you as well. If y'all have any other way to get your free FICO score, put it in the comments, but I believe you have to buy it. Miss Rodriguez says, hi, Miss Hill, I made it. Hi, how are you? All right, did I answer that question? Thank you for the super chat. You didn't have a question, so I don't think I'll answer it. All right, let me see. All right, let me see if I have any other questions. I paid off a Capital. This is Rodriguez. I paid off a Capital One card before coming into the new year, totaling $625. Then the following month, February, my credit went down 13 points. I don't know. I'm assuming you left the card open, okay? And now you have a zero balance. I would just wait to see what, if it rebounds the following month, because it might have been some other things that happened that month as well. And always when you are monitoring your credit, when you do things like that, then they will tell you what impacted, like what happened that month to impact that. So definitely be monitoring your credit. And I would think that in March, it should probably go back up since you paid it off. As long as you left it open though. So if you paid it off and you closed it, that's what happened. But if you paid it off and you left it open, so you still have available credit, it should have positively impacted you. But since you just paid it off, it may not be reflecting that payoff yet in your credit score. Thank you, Peter. I appreciate it. Please come all week. If you're trying to buy a house, is it okay to consolidate your student loans? It could be, but don't consolidate them with a private company if you're trying to do like income-based. Like a lot of times people are consolidating your student loans with like a private company, and you lose some of the advantages of having federal student loans. What could be your different payment plans? It could be loan forgiveness. It could be, all of those things. So don't consolidate and, it becomes an installment payment. Like you have to pay this, $400 every month, and that becomes part of your debt to income ratio. So consolidating like federal loans and they still stay federal is fine. You want to be like really cautious when you're consolidating to private loans because it may change your options as far as payments and how they're going to count that into your debt to income ratio. All right, Amber says, we are planning to find a lender who will manually underwrite. That is good. There's not a lot of people that will do that, but there are lenders out there. Is it possible to get an 850 score? I'm at 792, but I can't seem to reach 850. I have no idea why. 850 is perfect. That's like the highest score. So, I mean, unless you're like, 100 years old and you never did anything right and wrong, then it's probably, and you have a lot of available credit, you will probably get the same interest rate as somebody with the 800, 820. Like, it's not like 850 is like, oh, you get everything you want, right? So it's very rare that somebody has a perfect 850. That's very rare. I probably wouldn't even make that a goal of mine, because remember, after 792, you're going to get the same credit score. I mean, same interest rate, same opportunities as probably somebody in the 800s. Tanika, should you pay off I've answered that question like 10 million times for the charge-offs. Charge-off collections, only if it's going to benefit you positively. And I definitely wouldn't pay the entire amount when things are in collections, because they're just trying to get more money than what they paid. Should I pay off all my credit cards with my taxes? If that's part of the debt payment plan, I guess when you're trying to buy a house, you want to strategize, right? So, and I'm assuming that everybody sooner or later wants to buy a house. So if you say you're getting a tax return of like a $8,000 tax return, and you have $8,000 of credit card debt, and you could be debt free, right? But you want to buy a house in a year. How quickly can you save that $8,000 in order to be ready? Or should you use the $8,000 because you have a house that you can get right now, and then, it might take you 6 months to pay off the credit card debt? You just want to be strategic about it. I love people that are debt free, and I love people that, have a house, of course, but be strategic about it, because a lot of people that waited to be debt free and, especially during this pandemic time, maybe regretting it now that they didn't buy the house and then pay off the debt, because now the house has moved, the house is getting farther and farther away from you, because in the 2 years you were paying off that debt, the homes went up 30% or 40%, So I would just be strategic about it. And if you're getting a large tax refund, let's talk about that. If you're getting a large tax refund, that means that you're giving basically the government a loan every month. Try to get some of that money, like change your withholdings at your job to get that money now. Don't wait till April to get your money back. Go ahead and change your withholding so they're not taking as much money out of your check. So you have more of that money now. So when you're preparing your taxes, ask your accountant or whoever prepares them, what should I change my withholdings to so that, I'm not paying so much out and waiting to get it in April. I want to pay less now. Every month, I want the money. All right, let me see what else I can answer. Let me see. Hi, everyone. What happens if you're owing IRS 2021 tax? Well, check. Okay. If you're on a payment plan, it's not really a credit question either, but if you owe for 2021 and if you're on a payment plan, that payment plan will be entered into your debt to income ratio if you owe for taxes. Now, a lot of times you don't, IRS debt doesn't show up on your credit report. And that's why IRS debt and child support are one of the two things that at the last minute stop people from being approved, because they were like, oh, they're not going to see that, I have child support. They're not going to see that I have IRS debt. But with the IRS, the lender pulls your IRS transcript to make sure that you're current. You don't owe the IRS over the last 2 years or so. And so if they see that you have a balance, they're going to say, okay, you had a balance last year. Can you show proof that you paid it? Or are you on a payment plan? Now that payment plan goes into your debt to income ratio, and then maybe you can't get approved for what they approved you for initially. And then when they pull your bank statements, maybe you don't have like a court ordered child support, like coming out of your, check stubs or something like that. But they keep on seeing like you making these payments to these other accounts. And they're like, okay, what are you paying here? And you're like, oh, child support is $300. Guess what? Now it's coming in your debt to income ratio too. So those two things, they're not on your credit report, but they do impact your approval. So I would just tell them up front how much you pay for child support and if you owe the IRS, because you don't want to find out the last minute. All right. Do student loan debts matter when trying to get a mortgage loan? Yes, RB Allen. And I have a whole video about how it matters. And it really depends on what kind of loan you're getting, FHA, conventional, USDA. So I did a video on that as well. Are we at 8 o'clock, you All right, I'm trying to answer one more question. L, thank you so much for all your help. Is it a good idea? This is my last question, Retta. Is it a good idea to request a credit increase on a credit card? Yes, because, and this is why. All right, let's go back to here. If you cannot pay them down this quickly, this 50%, 30%, 10% or less, guess what? You can increase your credit limit. So instead of maybe having that $10,000, you ask them for a limit of $12,000, and that will help you have more available credit, and that will help your credit score. So you want to pay it down, but if you can ask for a credit increase, that can improve your available credit and improve your credit score. So I hope this was very helpful for everyone. Please join me all this week. Tomorrow, 7 to 8, will be Ask Me Anything. Elle, thank you so much for being in the comments. Thank you for all the super chats. Wednesday, I'm with Sir Ashley. Check out his channel. He's in North Carolina. And then Thursday, I'm back, and Friday, I'm back. Thank you so much, everyone. I really enjoyed it. And check out Credit Sesame. Their link is in the description. Y'all have a good night. Elle, thank you so much.